All right. Good evening, everybody. How you guys doing today?
Good.
Doing well. Thanks for having me as usual.
All right. So today we are going to be
And Derp.
moving on. I was gonna introduce you guys in a second. Let's talk about our topic first. I remember you guys. I'm looking at your icons right now.
Alrighty.
All right. Okay. So today we're here to talk about Sonic Prime, not only season 3, but even our general thoughts as the series has progressed over time. And I'm here with my ever consistent co-host, Derpaduh and IanWaffles. How you guys doing tonight?
Doing
I
good.
know I
doing
asked that
good.
twice. Just go through. Just roll with
Go
it.
ahead, Derp.
I'm doing good.
Two.
Awesome. So to bring everyone up to speed, Sonic Prime basically starts out with Sonic alongside Knuckles, Amy, Tails, and Bruce for some reason, as they end up fighting against Eggman as he's trying to steal steal a cluster of gemstones that the team is not 100% aware of, but they need to stop him from doing so. Sonic ends up rushing in, ends up breaking the gemstone as Eggman is trying to pull it out, and ends up shattering the entire universe. Splinter ultimately end up creating or possibly giving access to 4 other bubble dimensions where where there are copies of his friends existing in each of those universes. So the entire first 2/3 of the series were about establishing what all the rules going on in the universes, how each of them work together, establishing how Sonic ends up bonding with everyone, and then trying to do what we could to get following Sonic as he was looking to gather all those gemstones together in order to bring back Green Hill to the way it was beforehand. And over the course of the story, by the time we get to the end of season 2, Nine, one of Tails' counterparts, who has been bonding with Sonic over time, decides to try to work along Sonic and has been working along Sonic at first to try to collect all the gemstones, but he was doing it for his own
Shards.
purposes of
Oh, they call them shards.
shards.
It's also called the Paradox Prism.
Exactly. So I was trying to make sure I should have. I was trying to roll
It's
with
okay
it.
that you would. It's okay that you would forget details about this 10 out of 10 show.
Oh, of course. Hey, I do remember the big stuff, just certain terminology. But either way, once they end up collecting all of the shards to recreate the Paradox Prism, Sonic and Nine ended up kind of having a disagreement about what they wanted to go for, which led to not with Sonic wanting to bring back Green Hill, while Nine wanted to fix his own bubble dimension so he could exist on his own, forgetting everyone else. This lead to them having an argument, and Nine taking the Paradox Prism away from everyone else, leaving Sonic alone alongside Shadow in Green Hill as this begins to fall apart. So season 3 is all about them coming together with all the other friends from their past dimensions to work together to take down Nine, and as you can see here on screen, take down all of his robot clones. Which, as Derp says, this is totally a 10 out of 10 season, right, guys?
Absolutely. I'm so glad Sonic Prime exists.
Same here.
Yeah.
It was the bestest thing ever in the franchise.
So
I mean, if you don't know from our previous discussions, I don't think any of us are too high of an opinion on it. Well, to varying degrees.
Yeah.
This season kind of wraps everything up. So I guess
Yeah.
the real question is more of like, did it bring it all together for you guys?
So if I may start out, if I may start out with this, I do think it paid off all the story beats that it was trying to go for. Like, I don't think there were like that many loose threads. However, not only are a lot of the threads that it tries completing really weak or underdeveloped overall, I'm gonna be honest, I just refuse to give a shit by the end of it, especially because, just to summarize this all at once, all of season 3 should have just been season 3 tries to focus on that entire like 6-episode war fight between our main characters working alongside the Ed Council versus Nine. And they dragged this shit out for 6 episodes for a conflict that really should have just been 1 episode. And it is just kind of a slog getting through everything.
I would agree. Yeah, I would say the biggest problem with this season is that it, like I had with the first 2 seasons is that it has a cool idea, and then it goes, shit, how do we stretch this out for 8 episodes? And its way of doing that is we fight for all of eternity. And this one just kind of is the culmination of that, where we're literally just fighting in a crater against Nine's robots for 7 episodes straight until eventually Sonic says, "This isn't you, Nine," and it finally works, and then we win, and the story's over. So I personally very much did not like the season. I don't think it's my least favorite. I think that would go to probably like season 2, but it's pretty close. I did not enjoy it.
Oh, if I may ask, what miffed you more about season 2 than this season?
Because this season I'd already given up hope on humanity, so therefore, I was prepared. Season 2, the biggest thing about it was just that it was the moment where I realized, like, okay, because season 1, the whole idea was like, okay, well, I don't really like that we're just kind of doing this formula of going to each world and like kind of barely getting to know these guys, but all right, like we've established who they are and at least one character from each world who we're kind of supposed to care about. So therefore, now that we've done that, maybe like the story can begin because everyone's here. And then season 2 went, fuck you. We're just going to fight for a million years and just go back to all those locations and have misunderstandings and redo all that stuff. And so that kind of, and then finally for the final episode, they go, oh, hey, Shadow's back. He's allowed to be cool because he's the one good character. And therefore, we're going to do the plot and we're good. And so I go, oh, okay, got it. So this is what the show is. The show is very simple premise. We're not actually going to elaborate or do anything clever with it. And then for the final episode, we'll do something about it. Come back next time. And so for this season, it was exactly that. It was the same exact same. So that's why the second season I find to be worse, but this one has the exact same problems. So
yeah, fair. Derp.
This season, honestly, like if you go back to like the last few different discussions we had on Prime, like I swear there's like a decline of emotion. Like in season 1 discussion, I was like, it was pretty flawed, but I thought it was pretty good, and if they improve on it, well, this is going to be a great series. Then season 2 comes around, and I could already feel like, oh no, the cracks are starting to show, and like I don't think there's a lot of episodes left. So how are they going to solve this? And season 2, which was such like a disappointing mess, that I think there was the only 2 things I cared about were A, 9, like how are they gonna wrap up 9's plot, and B, how are they gonna put the Prism Shard back together and save the multiverse or whatever they were trying to cook up in the first place. And then we actually got season 3, and the end result was just, it was a slog. It was just painful, annoying. And when it finally ended, I was just like, wow, that was a thing. and then I sat there and I realized, oh my god, this show that I've been excited for like so long. I was so hyped for season 1. Like Lav was there, and I was like in that call. I was like, yo, this is gonna be the bestest thing ever, like unironically. And I'm like sat here now and I'm thinking to myself, I can't believe that I actually think I have a higher opinion of something that came out of IDW, which our track record shows we do not like the IDW series, than this. I think I actually like some of the issues out of IDW more than this, which I feel weird saying because I don't like IDW.
Yeah. All right. So to give a little bit more context, I think the best way to really get into the details about how we find this show to fail at a lot is to start breaking down some of the elements that they were trying to work for, mainly focusing through characters. So we're going to start with our leading blue boy and work our way out from there. So let's start. So like I said, let's start with Sonic. So if you remember, if any of you watched our first episode on Prime, I wasn't super wild about Sonic during season 1 because it took him basically the entire season for him to realize, wait, these aren't my exact friends, they're actually completely different people who have their own completely different lives that have never met me before and are basically completely different beings from the ones that I know. And I'm in a different universe. What?
He
And I
does it
was
like
like,
3 times.
yes. I was just like,
Yeah.
bro, this should not take this long. But season 2, I don't think he was like he didn't turn in my favorite version of Sonic, but I did not find him anywhere near as insufferable. Then season 3 happened, and there's no nice way to put it. They turned it into Steven Universe, and I can't stand it. Like the entire fucking time that Nine is going through Nine throughout the entire season, Nine is constantly going, I am going to steal this energy from you, Sonic, so I can complete the Paradox Prism and have the entire and just make my so I can control it and build the Grim however I want to. And even when he's been told several times, is making the other universes fall apart, he says, I don't give a fuck. Just go and destroy everything. Just go and destroy everything. Even taunting about the fact of how much he has control over other universes just to mess with Sonic.
And also like going like, here, watch this. I'm gonna tilt this entire world sideways and kill innocent people. Have fun, Sonic.
Right. But Sonic the entire time is going, no, wait, guys, we just have to talk to him. We can make him change. Don't you understand that? I don't. My theory right now is that I feel like everyone wants to do the Luke and Darth Vader scene from Star Wars, where it's like, I see the good in him, and I'm trying to bring out that good side of him, which I'm like, I respect in theory, but 90% of the time it's always done with one, characters who are usually like in the middle of causing a genocide in the first place, and two, is constantly having the main character be so prioritize the villain's well-being over literally everyone fucking else, to the point that they should to be considered a villain at this, that they should be maybe not considered a villain, but considered just as much of a hindrance as the villain at that point. And it just makes him that much more insufferable. I didn't find him anywhere near as punchable as I did in season 1, but he became, and feel free to jump in on this, guys, he became just as insufferable and got the same problems that Steven did, especially during seasons 4 and 5, and especially future of Steven Universe.
I mean, and also I guess to go to the Star Wars comparison, for one, Star Wars is a movie, so therefore, like I think a lot of times these problems with these ideas, they come from the fact that they just stretch it out for so long. Whereas like the whole point of like the third movie of Star Wars is that like he learns this by the end of like the first act, and then he's like, oh, this is kind of like my mission is already, I got to go up there and like kick his ass, but now I want to like save him while kicking his ass, and like we actually like are plotting these out with other things, and this is kind of like the resolution of a character who you at this point should probably care about a lot, which is Luke, and a villain who you've built up across these stories who has not only like harmed the world, but literally cut off Luke's hand and like try to kill him. So like him giving him that grace makes sense in the sense of like, oh, that is like a really big extension of like caring. And also like, Darth Vader isn't like up there on the satellite being like, watch this, Luke, and then like he like fucking grabs a spaceship and starts like blowing up people in the background. He's like, no, Dad, seriously though, like be good. Like, and it actually goes somewhere, and there's consequences, and it leads to a big climax. Whereas this is, all this is going for is just like 9, like just like stop it. And he's like, no, why would I? And so like there's nothing to it, and it just keeps getting just stretched and stretched and stretched to the point that again by the end you're just like, okay, yeah, no, just beat the crap out of him at least. And when he is convinced, it's not through anything too personal or whatever. It just comes from the fact of like, oh, now he gets it when he's like, oh, I get it, the Grim is like your Green Hill, which is my favorite place. And I really think you could have actually made it work, because they actually do have the moment where, like, if this was like a 2-parter, you could have Sonic wanting to help 9, he surrenders, and then he's like, oh shit, like maybe Sonic he cares or whatever. All the heroes show up, you betrayed me, they get up there, they fight. One of the Knuckles, or we'll make it Shadow this time. The scene that I thought like seemed to work okay was the one where 9 is in like his little bubble, and like one of the Knuckles is like really going crazy on him, and you can just see 9 like he just looks like a helpless, scared little kid, which is like the whole point of his character. That's what you're supposed to be sympathizing with. But since you allowed him to be like God, who's like flipping dimensions and like being like, I'm gonna kill you all, and then like even after that he's like, haha, now Sonic, I'm gonna kill you. at a certain point, you're just like, all right, I guess we just have to beat the crap out of him, because he's not going to listen.
Yeah.
But instead, what we do is we just go, 9, this isn't you. And then eventually he goes, oh, this isn't me. And then it's over.
Yeah. And let's be honest, it wasn't like some like massive paying off, like a ending of a character arc or like a true argument. It was just because it was the second to last episode when he started wrapping shit up. That was the reason. That was the actual reason he decided to change his mind, because we need to wrap the show up.
Oh no, it was in the last episode.
Yeah.
Literally the last one.
That's how it feels. So
It's so aggravating as well, because I feel like 9, dare say, has been one of the most like interesting characters to come out of the Sonic canon for like over a decade. Like I think that was one of our main positives of season 1, is that we all collectively liked 9, right? Like
yes.
Yeah. So like more than anything, I wanted to see where they took the character. And with season 2, I was excited. And then the finale really fumbled the bag with that really cringe-inducing "Tails isn't my name, it's 9." And I'm just like sat there like, yo, Sonic, call him Miles. That might work. Either way, it's a really cringy scene that just kind of irritates me, considering the growth Sonic has gone through to call everyone by their actual names, you know? So we just, oopsie daisy, I guess he did a little fudgy wudgy, and now we get this whole season of just non-stop battles of surface level plot depth. And I want to just touch on what you guys were talking about a moment ago with 9 and the whole redemption-y kind of thing. It's so annoying to watch that fight continue on over and over, and it just feels like there's less of a reason to be nice to 9 when he indirectly is responsible for the deaths of Sails and Mangy. Of course, they're not really dead. They wouldn't have the balls to do it. Oh, and they're alive. Either way, it's still kind of like funny that not one person is like, you killed them, because they don't want to bring that up, because then it makes it harder for you to redeem the character then. And then it just continues to go on with all of like the attacks, 9 releases, and it just comes to a point of if you make him too evil, then it becomes harder to redeem that character. But like, if you want to make them menacing, so maybe like don't do this and do it another way. Like, I don't know, like what if the shard, I know it's one of those things where it takes the character out of their sort of control, like it takes away their action. But like, what if it was that the shard took control of like a 9, and like he wasn't in control, he wasn't hurting people of his own volition, and then it's like, okay, well, now it's a little bit more fairer, because maybe he just got a little bit angry, but he wasn't like he didn't want to hurt everyone. It was the shard that made him do it. Like, at least then it wouldn't come to, oh yeah, well 9, I'm sorry that you tried to kill us, but we're all buddies now. And it's just like, what?
Well, also the funny thing about 9 is that like he's supposed to be getting like a happy ending here, but
but it's not. It's not a happy ending.
But he has 0 friends. Everyone who is there probably still has like a huge grudge, but they're at least gonna leave him alone. So what does that just mean? He's going to just live on the Grim alone forever, and like the one friend he ever had is gone now, and he'll never see him again. Happy trail.
That's something that I immediately touched on when I finished that episode. I sat there like, are you excuse me? Is that how it ended? Like, my expectation was that they were gonna take 9's character from like this sad backstory of, I had no friends and I grew up alone and sad and bitter and angry. Then the one friend came out of nowhere, and basically, he'd find friendship in Sonic, and then somewhere down the line, through Sonic, he'd then make friends with other people. Blah dee da, happy ending. He found a place in the world with a community. That's not what happens, though.
No, it's not.
The Cyrus Pokemon plot.
And here's the weirder thing. At least with Cyrus, I kind of get it, because like he was supposed to be this misanthrope in Pokemon, especially Pokemon Platinum, who just thought everything was shit and just wanted to just destroy everything. But when he found a place where he could just be on his own and just like be miserable in his own little bubble, he decided to stay there. But that at least made some kind of sense because he was always established to be the antagonist. That's the thing I don't get about Nine. Why even put him in that role in the first place? Not only because one, we already have somewhat fitting antagonists in the first place, but he's not a good subversion of it either. Just for the fact of like, look at this face. Does anything about this face seem remotely villainous? Like, it was really kind of jarring, especially during like episode 2, where he was trying to go full god mode and have his like head all up in the sky, trying to look down.
Which is really funny, by the way.
Yeah, it looks too ridiculous. Like nothing about Tails' design screams I am a threat. He just looks like a child who's throwing a tantrum.
He's like overcompensating so hard as well with the edgy robots.
Mm-hmm.
Which by the way, I want to mention this because people have the wrong idea. No, we did not get a metal shadow. It's called Grim Sonic. So
Yes.
whoop-de-dumped. But I do believe, if I'm not mistaken, and I'm possibly wrong, it's probably out there somewhere in Sonic canon, that we may have the first Rouge robot and a first Flicky robot. I don't know about the latter, but
this is definitely the first Rouge robot. It is. I cannot say yes or no if this is the first Flicky. Waffles?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you're correct.
Yeah.
So at least we got one little fun fact out of this show.
Yeah.
But yeah, Tails, not scary at all. Honestly, though, I kind of, as we went through the fight more and more, I just kind of lost any ability to care about what his redemption could be. Like, I knew it would be around the corner because I didn't expect this show to have the balls to actually like, no, he did go evil, and now there's no saving him now. Like, I wasn't expecting that. I was kind of hoping though, because it would have been at least interesting. But like, yeah, no, like when he started making those crazy faces, I really did just kind of wish they went further down that route. But yeah, no, he's not scary. He's really not. Like the whole thing about him is like just jealous of the fact that Sonic is a friend.
Which is just what ultimately kind of boils down to like as much as they try to quote unquote justify this in universe, just there's no real level that this makes any sense as a good twist. Like he's not the way that they end up having him go full villain mode, which is just Sonic calls him out by the incorrect name. It's just a stupid reason to have him just go full, I'll destroy everything, which really fuck off. Secondly, like we said, he doesn't look the part. 3, you can't really take him that seriously when he's just making robots over and over again that can or can't get defeated depending on what the script says. But then on top of that, the core reason why the redemption arc doesn't work is not only because of how much damage he does. It's the simple fact that he doesn't want it. Like that's the main reason almost every fucking redemption arc, and why redemption arcs at this point are starting to be looked down upon, because every single time they're invoked, it's always invoked for characters who clearly don't want to be redeemed. They don't want to be good. They just want to watch the world burn. But it's like we need to treat them baby boys because they have a sad backstory, which is just like at a point that doesn't apply.
Well, I think that's it for 9.
Yeah,
I just want to say one last thing about 9. I'm not gonna name this person because I know how the Sonic fan base is with when you mention these two characters in any of this context. But my friend the other day was going through Sonic Prime's 3rd season, and they were like live tweeting me as they went through like each episode, and they described Nine's arc throughout this whole season, like his evil arc, as, oh, Nine's going full yandere for Sonic right now. just full like jealous like boyfriend.
He wants that boy dead.
Yeah.
Also, I just gotta say, he's also just he deserves Nine deserves some cheesy ass TASM 2 electro theme song. Shout outs to anybody that knows what I'm referencing right now.
He lied to me.
He hates on me. That Spider-Man, he's dead.
But yeah, we can go ahead and move on from 9. Let's jump back to the rest of the characters. So, like I said before, this entire story is based around the hook of the story is about how Sonic is going to different dimensions and ends up seeing different versions of his friends in each universe, Tails, Amy, Knuckles, Rouge, all and Big all have their own versions in each of the universes. Now, the one out of all the sets, I think the only set that gets consistent amount of characterization are the Amy's. So like we end up spending a lot of time with with Robot Amy when they're at New York. Pirate Amy, she doesn't get that much focus in like first season, but as the story does progress, we start seeing her more like bond with the robot version and try and ultimately kind of have this weird quote unquote sister back and forth. And then we have Jungle Amy who had her whole thing in season one. This season really wanted to try to hit on the fact of like, yes, they are sisters, they are ride or die for each other, and a good chunk of their scenes are about how they end up supporting one another. And I don't think they were like awful on their own, but we can talk about this a little bit more. I think it was just really token at the end of the day because it doesn't really because especially when it comes to stuff like with the robot version, they tried making it seem like she had a whole arc about like how she was originally constrained because the egg council made her think like she needed the flicky in order to stay alive. But I'm like, was that ever mentioned before?
No, it was mentioned once in oh wait, no, alive? Like powering her up, that thing? Like yeah, no, in like season 1, it was like implied she straight up said like, "Oh yeah, the bird is the only thing that powers me because I'm a cyborg now." But it wasn't implied that that was a lies ever.
Yeah.
Which is really stupid because I don't know about you guys, but I found that concept really dark and interesting, and I was kind of hoping them to come back around to it, like with 9 maybe fixing her up to like not need a bird inside or something to like kind of make a happy little ending for the character. But no, it just that dark concept about the nature that she loves so much powering her up in this twisted thing. Nope, that's not what was
Yeah, we just
happening.
find out that she doesn't need the bird, and that's supposed to be the symbolism that they use to show like she is thrown off her chains and has become her own person, which I guess is a metaphor. But I'm like, that was not real. I feel like they had a better case just showing how she was interacting with the others than trying to make the whole flicky be a thing, you know?
Oh yeah, I mean, a lot of these characters, I feel like it's like even for the most part, they're just like boring or don't do anything like all the Rouge characters, who have "I am the person in charge" syndrome that a lot of characters have in the Sonic franchise for some reason, and then which just makes them boring. And then or you have like the like Rusty Rose, where it's like, oh, it's a cool concept, and like she has like some decent action. She's like one of the few characters who actually has like a unique way of fighting that isn't just I punch you and you explode. I stab you and you explode, and all does the same thing. She has at least like the extendo arms and like like the stuff like that, or like the other aim she can use, which is unique. So, but it's like at the best, it's like, oh, they're not completely bland, so that's good. Like that's the highest praise I can give them.
Yeah.
It's also funny that the following battle Rusty Rose has with the robot she's facing against is like I don't know about you guys, but after she gave her little speech, I was expecting her to just like 1, 2, kick, boom, enemy defeated. Nah, she gets like tussled around, and I'm like, okay, well, you just kind of ruined the fun.
Yeah.
It was just really, really funny.
And the only way she was able to win is by grabbing the hammer of the Grim Amy, and then using that against her, which I'm like, I guess that kind of ends up making. I guess this like, yeah, she gets to prove that she's still on her own, but simultaneously, I feel like it's not necessarily doesn't undercut her point, but does kind of limit how effective she was in saying that when she still needed to use someone else's weapon to be able to use someone else's weapon to be able to defeat them, especially when that's just kind of getting her back on brand instead of getting her back on brand with the other Amy's rather than like setting her up to be like her own individual person.
Yeah. Again, it's one of those things. Just like, yeah, I guess there's kind of something there, but who fucking gives a shit about Pirate Amy? Oh no.
Yeah.
Especially when we're in the middle of an endless fight.
You mentioned undercutting. That's like the exact same word you can use for the Dread's little arc. I say
Let's go and shift to that.
Oh yeah, me beauty, and now I am me normie. I don't want it anymore. Well, good, Red. I'm glad you got help.
Yeah.
I don't fucking care. What did you think of Pirate Knuckles? I mean, Dread.
We can just call him Pirate Knuckles. I remember him being kind of fun during season 1, but by now I'm just like I just do not give two shits at this point. They kind of have him sulking because like his plan all backfired during season 2, and now he just kind of sulk. He ends up sulking for like a good chunk of the first half of season 3. Then Jacksepticeye's character ends up coming in. It's like, hey boss, we can go ahead and steal the shard, and then we'll have all the money and the beauty. And then Pirate Knuckles is like, no, we are going to fight for our friends because friends are the true treasure. I'm like,
Yeah, sorry, Jacksepticeye. Fuck you.
yeah. Which
it's not a joke. That is Jacksepticeye.
No, I know. I was kind of happy to hear his voice. That was like that was one of the few joys of the show.
One of the only good jokes is when the other YouTuber comes in and is talking to like the egg councils and it's like, well, I think we should do this, blah blah blah, and he's like, who the fuck are you? Do I know you? Does anyone know you?
That was good. I kind of wish I knew though beforehand.
Oh yeah, no, that was Valkyrie. Actually did. I'm actually familiar with her and Jacksepticeye because like both of them ended up playing Among Us with Disguised Toast a couple years back, and they've had obviously Jacksepticeye, but both of them are like pretty big YouTubers and Twitch streamers. And I'm like, awesome for being on here. And for some reason, they were getting some weird controversy because they were here for some reason. Sonic fans being stupid, whatever. But when it comes back to Pirate Knuckles here, I feel like at some point, like, and I feel he ends up kind of having the same issue that we're having not only with Robot Amy, but also with Nine and with Nine as well, where it's like, it's not like these characters are the absolute fucking worst just from a conceptual level, but it seems like they were so dedicated to just having the story be about. I'm not even entirely sure what. I'm not even gonna summarize the problem like that. It's just it would have been a lot better if these characters were the initial focus rather than having to keep track of like three different versions of each of these characters who, while technically share the same model, are completely different people with their own different arcs and relative amount of character development. And it's kind of hard to do that when not only are we not having them focus on one particular goal or tying them back into one particular focus, but we're not actually having them like bounce off of or grow in a way that actually ties in the story. Because like with season 3, season 2, and a good chunk of season 1 is just fight scene after fight scene after fight scene after fight scene over and over again. But none of the fight scenes are none of them follow shonen rules, basically, where the fights are really meant to be explicitly about showing the character's motivation, challenge them on their character growth, and have them build forward from that. A lot of it is just we just need action just to keep the pace going, which makes it a lot harder to get involved with a premise like this that rides or dies depending on how, even more so than I would say with most shows, how much we can get purely invested with the characters. And that's kind of been the consistent thing, is that it's kind of hard to get invested with a lot of them. Like, yeah.
I feel like with season 1, it wasn't too noticeable, at least for me. I don't know about you guys, but with season 2 especially, I remember hearing both of you complain about how much action there was. And I don't know about season 2. I feel like they did a good job for the most part managing to intertwine the action with some of like the story beats, because I understand like most of season 2 is just a MacGuffin chase, which did get tedious after a while, I'm not gonna lie. But the thing with season 2 is at least it had a lot of variety with the backdrops and some of like the battles they did. Like I still remember they had the pirate ship going against like the egg council, whatever it's called. I can still remember we had Chaos Sonic. That was fun. We had a bunch of battles in different places. And then with this season, it's like, well, you got the 2 fights. You got one in the city, and you got like another one in the pirate world, but it also looks like the city because it's just there. And the rest of the season takes place in the boring crystal world, which I was initially excited to explore until I now realize it was just like a flat grass land of nothingness. I was expecting them to cook something, but no, it's just one little Elsa castle in the middle of a biome, flat biome. It's like, well, season two at least tried to do some things with the battles. Season three is just so tedious, like to go through. I genuinely think, I genuinely believe, like maybe if they cut down the the battling to at max like 3 episodes, maybe they could have done a slightly better job at like maybe fleshing out some of the arcs they wanted to go through. But like again, I don't think I'd care that much because most of the characters, sorry, all of the characters are just recolors. Like they're not even just recolors; they're just boring, the lackluster AU versions with little interesting going on about them. So like yeah, even if they did have the time, I don't think it would have mattered in the long run because like the only one who has been consistently cooked before this point is Nine, dare say. And then like the only other characters we care about are Sonic and Shadow, and Shadow's in a pit. Oh my god,
Yeah, no,
someone
like let's talk about that real quick.
whoever's making this show hates me.
Like I want to respect what they were. Actually, no, I'm not even going to try to do this. Like, I wasn't super well about Shadow during season one because season one just kind of seemed to have him just be overly. I'm assuming you guys heard it that time.
That's okay. Even the dog's like, don't mock Shadow. He's the only good one.
Yeah.
Okay, I think you should be. Sorry about that, guys.
No worries.
So
Cute.
So when it comes to Shadow, I wasn't super well about him in season one because the series just seemed to be set up on having him just be as overly aggressive and punching as humanly possible. But by the time we dealt with most of that crap by the beginning of the first episode of season two, he seemed to at least become okay and functional. And I was okay with him being around for the rest of the season. Now, season two just kind of put him in the background. It's like he can't go into any of the shadow spaces. All right, fair enough. But then season three comes around and he just spends the entire time in a pit beating up other Sonic robots. Which I'm like, okay, I guess, but it's like it would have been better if you were actually involved in the fucking plot. But
it was even funnier because he's like down there in the pit and I'm like, Shadow, why didn't you just run out? And he's like, I think he literally says like, if I had a Chaos Emerald, I could have teleported out of here anyway. And then him and Sonic run out of the pit.
Yep.
I'm like, what the fuck?
Oh my! Wait, is that actually a thing that happens?
Yes, that's exactly what happens.
Yeah, he says like, if I had a Chaos
that.
Emerald, I could get out of this pit. But I had to fight the Metal Sonics, and they just fucking run out of the pit.
I just want to say this before we continue. I'm kind of aggravated that this show. I know we probably shouldn't, but like it's the little things from canon that I think about these things and I expect them in the Sonic show that's trying to be canon. I know it's not, but Shadow has like natural chaos powers. I don't know how to explain this, but like there's a video by Chowmix that goes over this. So like search up like Shadow's chaos powers if you want to know more about that. And it just annoys me that in this show it's like, oh no, I have no powers unless I have the emerald. And I'm like, Shadow, he's so boring in the fight scenes because all he's doing is just doing what Sonic does, and it's such a waste.
Yeah.
Well, and like that, not to go back to the other characters, but that just is an extension of like, again, every character fights the exact same, at the very least achieves the exact same result. So it's like, oh, like, sure, someone has like a sword or someone has like a gun or someone punches, but it always achieves the same thing with the enemy they're fighting because everyone is just in like, how like in like the Spider-Verse movies, there'll be sequences where it's just like Spider-Man is just flying around and he's just like taking out bad guys or like dodging or like grabbing other things, and it's supposed to be just like he's just not even thinking about it, and it's just kind of like this cool little flowing motion of Spider-Man like doing a billion different things at once. That's kind of how like these fights feel, where it's just like, yep, everyone's in sync, everyone knows how to perfectly dodge and counter, and it's just like a seamless flow, and there you go, that enemy's down and that enemy's down, and oh, he hit me but I retaliated, and that enemy's down and that enemy's down. It just keeps going, so there's just no tension to any of the fights, and there's no uniqueness to how everyone fights. So you don't even get like you don't get anything from that. And Shadow suffers that too, because like you're saying, Derp, he's just Sonic. He just fights like Sonic,
Yeah, and like the one time I think they were trying to go for some tension, it immediately got undercut by like a comedy, Sonic's helping out one of the teams, and then oh no, Sonic's about to get hit, so big number 3 jumps in the way, and then he like gets momentarily knocked out from a stomach like punch, like, and then he comes back.
Amnesia.
And then they do like the British voice or whatever, and then I kid you not, we never see him again after that scene.
No, we don't.
We never see Catfish. That's his name. We never see him again.
Rip.
It's like I think that's his only scene throughout the rest of the series.
It is.
Yeah, besides that, there's like the fake out scene where Sonic does his Lost World. No, I was too slow to save Tails again. And of course, we know, like, episodes later, oh, whoa, the Tails duo were alive. They conveniently escaped an explosion while also being hurt on the way out. Except nobody in the surrounding war zone saw them flying away from the explosion. Don't think about it, okay? The show's for babies.
Yeah, it's not much.
Yeah.
Didn't you like this, Lav?
Huh?
Didn't you like this?
Yeah, didn't you like this?
You're gonna defend it from us?
No,
Please.
no. I'm going to talk about the one thing. So my thing was I was going to try to be like a little bit more of the positive person for this conversation. But the thing is, I agree with both of you guys. Like, this show has way more problems than it really should. Like, Sonic ends up just becoming like the worst version of not as awful as IDW, but still has the same problem.
Yeah.
Like, we must we gotta like save the good guys because save the bad guy because reason.
Yeah, that is actually a very important like distinction. I feel like in IDW, Sonic comes from like this high and mighty, like, oh, I'm the bestest, and you're gonna come around. It's whatever.
Yeah.
I've been through this before a billion times. Whereas Sonic more in this is a lot. He's sincere. I feel like he's actually coming from a place of like, I believe in you. I'm Sonic the Hedgehog, and I believe in friendship and everything. And like he wants the best.
Yes.
But like it does get aggravating when we've done this shtick now like 15 times in the same episode, and then it's the same thing in the following 4 episodes, all while his friends are being hurt around him, and it's like, Sonic, just punch him in the face. And that's what I keep saying to myself over and over. And I was kind of hoping, like, Shadow, come on, this is your moment. And then someone else gets the moment. Do you want to pull it slide up, or do we?
Oh yeah, that was good. Thank you for building up to that. That's the whole reason I got this picture. Yeah, for some reason, instead of letting Shadow be the one to take down 9, which is, they've been establishing the whole parallel Shadow and 9's quote unquote rivalry since the end of season 2. Instead, we got to give it to this version what's it? It's not Rebel, is it?
I think it's Renegade.
Renegade. Yes, Renegade. And I'm like, why do we need to give it a Renegade? I mean, yeah, Renegade kept calling him like a traitor since like season 1, but it's like it was either he was being wrong intentionally, or he was just kind of saying that because he wasn't working for the Resistance, which fair enough. But I'm like, of all the characters we should have 9 be fighting against, it probably should be, especially to make this point about how he needs to be saved because he's just a scared little kid. He should be going up against and getting his ass handed to him by Shadow, not by Renegade here. So that was already just kind of weird. So it's like characters aren't being used properly. The themes that those tries forcing for, both in terms of how we need to redeem 9, as well as everything that happens in Prime is Sonic's fault, which is such a ridiculous, which is such a ridiculous conflict in the first place.
But that scene is so corny.
Yes.
It's like, you lost everything, Sonic. It was all your fault. You're the one that caused all this. It's like, shut the fuck up.
Yeah, no, like because like just to bring this back up, I was terrified about this show the second I saw this in the premise summation where it's like, oh yes, Prime is going to be all about redemption and Sonic learning to make up and learn from his mistakes. And I'm like, this would already just be kind of stupid in a vacuum for multiple reasons, just because of how the premise all works. But it makes even less sense here when you're trying to give this arc to a character who doesn't have issues with taking responsibility. If anything, I think he's too willing to take responsibility for everything that happened. But it's like, in order for this kind of arc to make sense, it needs to be coming from someone who's either trying to shift blame or is completely oblivious to taking on responsibilities. And say for IDW Sonic, that's not really an issue for his character in general. So I don't even know why of all things they thought that was a good idea to apply that to Sonic, especially the closest, especially this version of Sonic, which is not only the most goody two shoes good boy, honestly the closest to being a himbo out of all of the other Sonics. So that didn't work. Nothing worked. But I will say, going back to what I was saying before, I do think there's one thing I would give the series I would give the series credit for. That was my puppy yawning. Sorry about that.
No worries.
Is that the series is exceptionally gay. Because I know a lot of people like joking about like a certain show, like when it comes to certain shows having two male leads who are more comfortable with interacting with each other, getting emotionally honest and close with one another. That's just like, oh, they are so gay. Let's ship them and like talk about them like being a couple. But again, both of you feel free to push back me on this. This series is really gay with these two.
Yeah.
It definitely also just leans a lot into like, this is why I think Shadow is the best character, which is the idea of like, he feels like the only character who has like any layers to him, because obviously in the first season he was very much like a dick to Sonic, but as like the season progressed, we obviously started to see that like that's just kind of like his way of just fucking being Shadow. It doesn't feel like it's just like, oh, Shadow's stupid, because as the series progresses, we see more and more and more how much like he actually does respect and care about Sonic. And there's just little facial expressions they'll give him whenever like Sonic and Shadow need to be on the same page. And also just lines from Shadow that like genuinely do spell out that like, no, like Shadow actually does care for Sonic. And it doesn't just feel like I don't like you or whatever, baka. Like it feels like it actually has like some humanity to it. Like the little, like sometimes he will show it, sometimes he won't. They have like a nice little back and forth and stuff. So like it just actually feels like they have a connection, which is the more I can say for literally any other character in this entire show.
Yeah, I would agree with that tenfold. Also, I know you made the little joke there, but honestly, it does kind of come off tsundere at points. At least from what I was viewing.
It has that vibe. I just don't think they play it up in a way that feels like ridiculous, where it's like, yeah, I get it, Shadow. Like,
yeah, it's a little
like it's like a part of the character.
Subdued.
Yeah, especially in the final chase like race back home sequence. Like they're like, that's a very good moment for Shadow, where again like you can really feel the idea of like he really is trying to like keep Sonic safe. And that he like really like respects that he like sacrificed himself. And I think there's like a point where he like reaches out for him and stuff. So like, yeah, no, I could totally see like there actually being like a connection between the two that you can actually legitimately read into the story that like makes sense. It isn't just like grasping at straws. It's like, oh, they like stood next to each other and glanced once, you know. Shadow actually has varying emotions surrounding Sonic. So yeah.
It's just a shame. Like every other season, he has like 2 episodes of actual like screen time.
Which is so funny because it's not even like he's overpowered in the show. So I don't even
know he gets his ass handed to him like a few times over. I know there's one episode which, FYI, could have totally been trimmed down by like 10-fold. like there's one episode where the whole shtick is like, oh no, we can't beat him. How will we defeat them, Sonic? Okay, here's the plan, everyone. Die. Like that's literally the plan. Just like, oh no, we give up. We can't beat them. And like that whole episode, I swear, I think that's one of those like you could possibly cut this out and lose very like little to none. um, but yeah, no, like Shadow gets his butt handed to him a few times off. He got kicked by our baby in like the last season, and I think they actually throw in the detail, if I'm not mistaken, it that he's the one to kick the baby out into the portal at the end.
I think so.
I think so. If I'm wrong, then oops. But yeah, no, he's really subdued in this series on like a strength level. It's like I said before. Like not only is he's just Sonic because like his power set has been reduced, but his power set has been reduced. We don't get to see him do cool Chaos Spear, Chaos Blast, other cool abilities like the little short distance warp ability he has with it's just you the CGI animation for the Shadow the Hedgehog game has more awesome shadow fighting than this whole series. Minus like, I don't know, the first season where like Sonic and Shadow had like an SA2 actual battle where they bounced off each other, did the whirlwind, which I don't think we ever saw again. I think that would have been interesting to throw in here somewhere, but wait. Oh, that's so dumb. I just talked about that for like 5 seconds, and now I'm sat here like they could have totally pulled a Sonic Chronicles ass team attack and oh my.
No,
Well,
they
you
could.
gotta remember
so
this is
boring.
the series where Chaos Emeralds literally grow from rocks. So
The fights are
Yeah.
so boring. Oh my gosh, they don't really do team attacks.
well, and again, like I mentioned this when Shadow at the end of this story, right? He says like Eggman's like, Shadow, what are you doing here? And he's like, didn't you know I'm the ultimate life form?
Cringe.
What does that mean? What does it mean, Shadow? What does it mean that you're the ultimate life form? What the fuck does that have to do with anything?
So cringe.
That's his title. So he has to. So whenever he does something cool, he has to say that. Like
After all, I gotta go fast.
Yeah, exactly. But remember, he's the edge. But
Oh God,
Sonic is the cocky hero.
Waffles.
He's the edge lord. So he has to make sure whenever he says stuff like that, like he has to say stuff like that to make sure, like, yes, take me seriously because I am the number one. And I say that with love because I actually do think that's kind of it. I say that as a way to say, like, no, let's make him a little endearing, just like this little dork who feels the need to overcompensate like that. Because that's fun here.
Waffles mentioned the I gotta go fast scene, and I gotta say, like, somehow, like, that one scene made me respect, like, all of the mentions of it in the movie. Like, I've been 50-50 on the placements in the movies, because I'm like, you know, I kind of like it, but it's kind of making me a little bit cringe for a little bit. But yeah, no, like, Prime ends on, all right, gotta go fast. Proceeds to run at screen with the funniest, like, close-up. With his butt cheek brow. Just it's so cringe. But yeah, I want to go back a few steps, and this is kind of something I forgot to touch on before, but it's correlated to the fight, so I think it.
Oh, hit me.
Like, also another positive about season 2 that I want to put over season 3 is that season 2 at least had that really. It was. I don't know. For me, I kind of liked it. At least in retrospect now after Frontiers, but like we had an entire like fight scene with I think 1.5 super forms, and we never get another super form since. Like
Nope.
Tails kind of gets this. I don't know. He floats with the things, his tails, and then he shoots laser beams. But I don't want to count that. That's
not a super form. He just ends up getting his tail supercharged. That doesn't
like that like what I was saying before. Like, what if the crystal he he got overwhelmed by the power, and then he lost his morality or whatever, and then any sensibility he had was taken away from him. He's now got like a scary super form. Maybe the Nine Tails and not mechanical, and they're now real. I don't know. Go crazy with it. And then Sonic has to beat the chaos energy out of him to save him. And then Nine can be like, "Oh no, what have I done? I just wanted to build my home. I didn't mean to lose myself." And then Sonic's like, "It's okay, buddy. I've got your back." And everyone else has, because we need a corny, happy friendship ending. Like, again, I don't usually like these like brain control like things, but like, at least it would have made the redeeming thing a bit easier. Because what they ended up with was just, again, like, why were they trying to do Cyrus, but like on a happy ending? Because it's not gonna work.
No.
It doesn't work. It's just really sad, and I don't even know if they were aware of how sad it is. I genuinely think they just didn't think about it when they put it in the script. It's so weird. What
Well,
else is let's talk
I was
about?
gonna say, does anyone have anything else?
I
Yeah,
don't either. You guys got. Oh, I will say one last thing. Just in case anyone else didn't see this, the showrunner did come out a little while ago and said there are no plans for season 4.
Let's
So,
go.
Yay!
Please, let's move on.
But I wonder if that could be inferred as no season 4, but we'll be making a new show that's.
Well, you got to remember this. There is no season 2 or 3. This is all one show.
Oh yeah.
That's
This
Netflix
put up
was like,
by
shit.
Netflix.
When we cancel this, we need to like make it look good. So we'll say,
Yeah.
oh, it had 3 seasons. Yeah.
No, I think it's actually like a Netflix deal where they take a show, they make more episodes than what they should, and then to get around like cost money, they advertise it like 2 seasons, so they get like the most out of it. There's better ways of describing it, but I think it's more of Netflix's scummy practices than
Yeah,
what
I
the
don't think
studio
they
actually
really
does.
played too much into this. It was just more like we got 25 episodes, which is still a decent. 25 episodes.
Yeah.
25. We got 25 episodes out of this, so I think that's still like a decent amount. So it's not like this show got shortchanged. Honestly, now that I think about it, besides Underground, does any of the Sonic shows ever like end unceremoniously?
Sadiem
Sadiem.
unceremoniously.
Wait,
Sadiem.
what about Sadiem?
Because sure they like defeat Robotnik, but then it's like, oh, but Snively's back and a demon's back. Oh no! So like clearly it's not meant to be like, and then they go on another adventure. Like it's meant to be like, and there's more to come, and then obviously nothing came. So
True.
Sonic Underground never they never found their parents.
yeah, and he said like Underground.
Yeah, I said Underground. But
X X has a real ending, and then obviously Adventures is just episodic until we're canceled. So
yeah, and same thing for Boom. Honestly, I would actually count Sadiem as more of a maybe not ceremonious, but I do think it has something resembling an ending. Like, yes, there's room for them to have more adventures, but they got their big bad taken care of. And like Snively probably could have done some damage, but I think it's safe to assume that they did beat him, that they did ultimately beat him, because I don't think he's any more of a threat than Eggman. But my point is like I think Prime, for all of its problems, I do think we can say it did get to conclude its own ideas. It did get to go from start to finish, which is a lot more than a lot of shows can ultimately can say, especially stuff like Inside Job, which I'm still seeing people complain about. It needs a season 3, which that's another conversation. But I guess here's a good place to start out. And I really should have thought about this ahead of time. How would you guys rank this in terms of all the shows? So we got Adventures, Sadiem, Sonic Underground, Sonic X, Sonic Boom, and this. How would you guys rank this comparison?
I mean, I would just say I would say Underground's the worst, without a doubt, because it has 40 episodes. So it's a bad show that you get 40 episodes of. This is a bad show that I numerically get 20 something episodes of. So it is the second worst. It is not. I think Underground has like more interesting ideas and like a new, more interesting aesthetic, especially. But that only counts for so much. Once you get used to it, it's just all right. Well, now I'm just fucking stuck with garbage for 40 episodes. This is boring, but at least it's only boring for 26 episodes or however many long. So I would say it's the second worst. Adventures is like episodic fun. Boom is like episodic fun. Sadiem has its high moments that are pretty consistent, like Robotnik and Sonic, and especially the music and directing is stellar. It has a great vibe, and then I would say Sonic X has like the most consistent high points. Even if it does get bogged down in a lot of episodic like middlingness. Prime, I just think is really boring, and I didn't connect to really any characters at all. So I would definitely put it second worst, only because it is shorter than Underground.
Yeah, I'd have to rewatch Adventures of and Underground just to get an idea of like how they are. But I'm just gonna lump those two together since they're kind of similar in my head. Then I'd say Sad AM maybe. I can't get into it. I'm sorry, Antoine's too annoying.
Oh, he's awful.
And then you get Dulcie, which I've heard defenses of, and I'm sorry, she's just as annoying because it's just like, woe is me, I'm sad, I feel bad for me. It's like, bro, shut the fuck up.
Gee, hello, Mom.
Mommy.
Maybe we should do a Sad AM episode so we can talk about, because like I'm the guy who loves the Freedom Fighters, but I do not love them in their show because they're bad.
Oh,
I'm their
maybe we should
biggest
do that
fan.
in
And
a
I
tie
hate
up for
them.
that.
Yeah, no, I get what you mean. And then I guess Sonic Prime would be like there between those shows, and Sonic X would come after. I don't care how good season 3 is. You got to get through all that that slog of season 1, and then just inferior versions of the other games. Featuring Chris Thorndike, the best character in the Sonic franchise. And then Sonic Boom, best Sonic TV show. Don't care how many people that pisses off. It's funny. It's really funny. There's a reason I've rewatched that, I think 4 times minimum. It's
There you
really
go.
funny. Probably gonna rewatch it later this year because it's actually good. Should have gotten more seasons.
Well, there you go. What about you, Love? I know you haven't seen a lot of them.
Oh no, I've seen all of them.
Oh, you have? Okay.
Out of the 6, I'm probably gonna end up putting. Yeah, I'm gonna say it. I'm gonna put Prime at the worst because honestly, everything else. Because I can make a defense for all the other 5, even if I'm not super wild about them. Like I'm not wild about Sad AM because I also don't like the Freedom Fighters, but I at least respect what it was trying to do, especially as like an early '90s show. X, I think it does not balance everything around around Chris really well, and Sonic, I wish was a little bit more active of a protagonist, but I like what it was going for. But if I had to rank them, it would go Prime.
Oh damn!
Oh yeah, Prime's at the bottom. then I would Prime, then Adventures, then Underground, because I'm not going to disagree with you, Waffles, but Underground is the show that I ended up growing up with, and I still have a soft spot for it, even though I'm like, yes, the show is objectively awful for way too many, and has way too many fucking problems.
It's good to be a kid.
Oh god, no.
It has Manic, which makes it good, and Manic is the only reason why I'd ever rewatch it.
Fair. Then I would go with. Then I'd go Boom, Sad AM, and then Boom, Sad AM, and then X.
You like Sad AM more than Boom?
You really like Antoine more than Styx? You really like
I'm going to be
Dulcie the Dragon
I'm glad you both
more
said
than
that.
the burger guy?
No, I'm glad you both said that. I need to make sure I'm going off of like my own personal taste, not what I think is meant to be the quote unquote correct. No, I'm going to go and put Boom at 2 and Sad AM at 3.
Good.
There you go.
Yeah.
Good. Yeah. Stay in that place.
You will be spared this eve on your own podcast.
Yay!
But love, you gotta put Prime higher because it's game can.
What the fuck are you doing here, Kermit? Get out.
Yeah.
About Sonic.
Oh god. That also might be a little bit of a topic we need to talk about because a particular writer got in trouble again for trying to say something was canon, and then when it was found out it's not canon, people started ripping into him for it, and he got a little pissy.
Controversy of the week.
Yeah.
Boom, boom.
And we might need to talk about, and we might anyone who's looking forward to it, do not hold your breath because I don't want to just make one video just talking about one Twitter controversy. We all have better things to do. But if we get some more evidence, we might end up talking about it a little bit more. But we'll talk about that off screen. But do you guys have any? But I think that covers everything with Sonic Prime. You guys got any other closing thoughts of the show?
Not really. I'm glad it's over. It was fun to talk about, but like I said, I watched season 1 for about half of it, and then as soon as I realized, oh, this is what it is, I cranked that shit up to 2 times speed, and I never looked back. So, so long, Sonic Prime. That's it. The end.
Yeah, the show genuinely bums me out because as a Sonic fan, I've not been liking the games outside of, I don't know, Mania, and I don't want to count Origins because that's just a repackaged bundle. Um, I like the movies, but those are only going to come out like every few years, so it's going to be a drought as a movie fan of that branch of the franchise. The comics have consistently sucked. Go listen to the other discussions on on Lavi channel here.
Yeah.
For that input. So like yeah, no, like this series was like the one thing like, oh yeah, this looks good. I can't wait to see this. And then after season 1, it kind of fell off like really hard. Like any hope that I had that this show would just get better was quickly curb stomped. And now I just feel like, oh wow, it's like someone had it out for me to just crush my dreams. Like, no, Shadow's not a character. He's just gonna show up like every once in a while because we don't know how to use him and all this other stuff. And it's just there's so many issues. We've already gone over the issues, but yeah, no, Sonic Prime has just been so disappointing for me. It's kind of sad to end on a dour note, but like I just find it funny here in this entire call because I mean there is no reason to bring them up because they don't really do much besides be a supporting role. But like I feel like we should like for 10 seconds at least talk about them, like the Egg Council, like the most nothing characters.
Yeah.
Like I remember in like the last call, I'm like I kind of like them.
Like they
Like,
kind of serve
hesitant
their
to,
role
like-
as antagonists for the first 2 seasons, but then we get to season 3 and it's just like they are
Like,
here, I
They're
guess.
just here. They're around. They're barely contributing. I think they shoot like the robot with the mothership, and that's like the most they do anything of in
Yep.
this whole thing. They have a tsundere scene, which is a little adorable because he's like, I don't really care about you, Sonic. But like, yeah, no, they're just around, and it's really funny. And I kind of realized this because I don't know if I mentioned this earlier, but I watched this on my own, and then I rewatched it with Flavi, and we kind of came to the like realization, wow, it's like Sad AM, but with an identity crisis. like it's like if someone tried to put Boom and Sad AM together, you would get this like weird, wretched abomination.
Yeah.
It's just like, what were they trying to cook? And like, yeah, no, I don't care about him anymore. I think I kind of found him endearing at the start, but then with season 2, they're like, no, they're menacing. You gotta take them seriously because look at his backstory. Like, no. With season 3, they're just like sort of teammates, but not really because they got to do that whole like, we're actually gonna stab you in the back when we're done, and that's what they do, and it's really cheesy and bad, and I don't like it. It's predictable. I just found it funny that I think I'm the only person that even mentioned them in this whole call because I'm like the only person who slightly cared. And I
No,
I
I
don't
brought them
care.
up earlier.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Okay, I missed
But
that.
your point still stands. Like they were just like so nothing characters, and it's like, oh, let's split Eggman up into 5 beings. Okay, are we going to do anything with that other than just having them argue with each other?
Like, oh
we'll
my
have-
god, like I genuinely think that they made me respect the Zeddy a little bit now. Because like at least the
Oh.
Zeddy are kind of like a team. Like the Zeddy suck. That's still like F tier, but like if there were like rankings in the F tier, they would still be above the Egg Council. So yeah, besides that,
Even
we
Bug
got a
thinks that's
robot big.
depressing.
Yeah.
We got a robot big. That was funny, I guess. Tails made a pun like 2 seconds earlier about wanting something bigger, and he made a big robot.
Yeah, which I found funny because I think he pointed this out when we were watching it, is like he was criticizing them for just saying criticizing the egg counts for going like, oh, you guys just keep trying to fight them, but your whole idea is just making bigger robots. Why don't you try doing something else? And then they come back. Then when Tails finally gets, then when Nine gets a chance to actually be a villain, it's like, let's just make a bigger robot. It's like, seriously, you're going to become something you were criticizing like 5 minutes ago.
That was you, by the way. You found that out. Which,
Yeah.
oh my god, that was so funny. Yeah, no. What a disappointing series. Like, yeah, I think that's about it for me. Like, any other notes I may have, I don't think it matters. I'm sad. I'm done. I'm kind of angry. I'm kind of depressed a little bit, but I'm just like Knuckles series movie free. I'm looking out for those two. I can't wait till they drop, and if they somehow disappoint me, oh boy, put me on life support as a Sonic fan.
Well,
the Twitter
the funniest
drama?
way we could end that.
Yeah,
Twitter
I
drama?
think that's just a good place to end on.
The Twitter drama of Mephiles and Sonic Man was infinitely more entertaining than this entire show. Great job.
Well, man of action, I wish you all the best with your other projects. If you decide to touch Sonic again, do better, please.
Yeah, please do better.
Yeah.
Don't
we'll
do
go
another
ahead.
2D.
All right,
Don't do another 2D animation.
Yeah, we'll go ahead and end it on that. But thank you guys both so much for coming out tonight to help to discuss Sonic Prime, and hope you guys didn't mind hearing my puppy in the background.
No worries. People love
All
it.
right.
No worries.
All right. Oh, and why don't you guys tell people where they can find you?
I'm IanWaffles. You can find me on YouTube and Twitter by IanWaffles. And thanks for having me as usual.
Mm-hmm.
I'm Derpaduh. You can find me on YouTube at Derpaduh, and you can find me over at Twitter at 2Derpaduh. I'm done.
All right then. All right then. Thank you guys so much, and I will see all you guys next time.
Peace.
See ya.
Peace.